hopefully should be live now. Fingers crossed, all going well. So welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be kicking off Sunday today with some StarTropics. Thank you for having me onto this marathon. I'm a bit rusty both physically and also in ability to play this game. So as you can probably tell, I'm losing my voice. So apologies for that, but bear with me and I will try and talk as much as I can anyway. So the game that we're kicking off with today is StarTropics on the NES. This is a game from Nintendo from 1990. It's a really great game. It's quite difficult in places, but we'll see how we go. It's a really fun one, and as Arsland has pointed out in chat, the tunes are amazing. So yeah, let's get this started. So I'm gonna give a countdown now. So I'll count down from Okay, I think I am back. Apologies for that. My internet is definitely not ideal sometimes. It was doing fine, and then a second we went live with with this run, it decided to not. Anyway, let's get this game underway, and hopefully the internet is kind to us today. So this game is in 8 chapters, and generally the timer starts when we get control of Mike, so that'll be 3, 2, 1 now. So we are starting off the game in Coral Cola, and the character we're playing is called Mike. And Mike is an ace pitcher who's come to visit his uncle. And we need to speak to a few people before we can leave the island. So this is Chief Coral Cola. And unfortunately, he's just about to tell us that our uncle is not actually here. And he's given us a yo-yo. So that's our weapon. And he's let us know that some monsters appeared and that ideally we want to try and find our uncle who's gone missing. So we need to speak to all but one person on the island in order to trigger the check flag for us to be able to leave and go into the first dungeon. So we're just gonna obviously skip through the dialogue as much as we can, because this is a speedrun. And we're into the first dungeon. So this is the shaman, and ideally we won't see her again, because essentially if we do, we've hit a game over, so that's not ideal. But this is the first dungeon of the game, and I can hopefully talk you through some of the kind of main mechanics as we go. So obviously we've got our yo-yo weapon here, and as you can see it's kind of this top-down format. It's very similar to Zelda 1 in that regard. And generally how the dungeons work is you have to kill enemies in order to be able to progress through, unlock doors, that kind of thing. And you also have a lot of these switches on green tiles. So that's kind of the main mechanic. The other thing to notice is, just to mention, is that we're kind of moving in a very grid-like fashion. As you can see, we can only really move in this grid. And the other kind of main thing to talk about while we're just getting comfortable with this first dungeon is a lot of the speedrun, the skill in it is really with input buffering. So we're kind of always preempting our next movement, and that's the same with skipping the dialogue boxes and all of that stuff. And the same with when we're using the yo-yo weapon as well. So I'm always looking to buffer my inputs for my next movement as I play through this. So yeah, Dungeon 1's really just about getting you comfortable with that movement. Okay, that was like the quickest that we could have done that snake boss. So how that works is that we take damage, and then we're able to damage boost and just run over the top of that snake. So obviously in order to take damage we need the snake to fire a projectile. So sometimes the snake can kind of mess around a little bit, and then obviously sometimes he doesn't fire at all, so that can obviously waste your time. But the snake was very kind to us and immediately just hit us, and we could just run over the top, so that was good. So we just met Babu here. He has, we're just about to go into the lab, and we're gonna, we've got our code for our submarine, and that's how we're gonna travel around the islands in this game. So this is subsea. And there we go, that's chapter 1. So we're into chapter 2 now. So we are cruising along the ocean. And we are gonna bump into this lovely dolphin. And she's said that her boy dolphin has disappeared, her son. And we've obviously said that we will go and look for her son for her. So before we can do that, we just need to pop them into this beach hut here and speak to this islander. She's going to tell us that there's a bottle appeared on the beach. So we're going to go and have a look at that. So we've got a code which helps us to submerge. And we're going to say no here, otherwise it will make us reread the note, and that obviously will lose us time. You can actually input buffer again the text selection, as well as skipping the text. So we can now submerge, so these little patches of water here, we can now traverse through. Okay, and we're into to our next dungeon. Some more bangers. So yeah, you can hopefully see that I'm buffering those yo-yo throws there, and I'm killing these enemies. Just makes everything quicker. And again, you kind of get used to the sections where the enemies will always pretty much like follow the same patterns. So you can kind of just learn where they're going to be. You may have noticed it was quite subtle, but I threw a very quick yo-yo before I walked into this room. And that basically gives you a very slick setup for just jumping around all of those blocks and timing that submergible block. So it's kind of a setup that you do when you're kind of entering that room, just to help you do that in the quickest way. Okay, so we've got our baseball bat, so we're just gonna do that. Makes that very quick. The baseball bat we only use twice in the whole game. It's very sad. It's such a great weapon. But it's like underutilized in the speedrun, unfortunately. Oh, it was on rerun. Well, it will look a lot better than today's because, yeah, like I said, very rusty. But yeah, I love this game. And then here we go, we're going to use the baseball bat again here. And that's it. We don't get to use it again, which is a shame. So we're gonna pick up this item here, which is a snow doll. And we're gonna use that to help us with the final boss. Oh, come back here. So like you can see, some of the enemies can move around, so it can be a bit annoying chasing them around sometimes, although this was on me. I should have just walked in and hit that straight away, but I did not. Okay, so this is our Octoboss. So we're going to avoid these projectiles, and there's some RNG here, so in order to deal damage we need to wait for the boss to drop down towards us. So this is not good RNG. Octoboss is being a pain. Okay, so we're going to use that snow doll to freeze the octopus in place, and then we're just going to mash. And we've got 2 of them. So we're going to use the second one before the boss moves back up and unfreezes. It is possible to do it in one cycle. I am not good at it, but if you watch one of the top runners of this game, which I definitely recommend you do, if you're enjoying this game as a speedrun, you can see it done properly, essentially. And there we go, we've rescued the dolphin, and it's adorable. It's a lovely time. Yeah, one cycle is quite hard. It's a lot of getting that kind of... It's not really mashing per se, it's mashing / input buffering. But yeah, to get that kind of rhythm right is pretty difficult. So, happy days. So we're gonna... We've got both of them reunited now, and they're going to lead us out of this section. But yeah, one cycle is quite difficult. Thanks for the good luck, Crocus. So there we go, we're out of chapter 2. Unfortunately, though, we've hit a storm. Things have not gone well for us. We are face planted down on the beach, and as you can see, subsea is not in a good way. It's also face planted down in water. Yeah, not ideal. So yeah, essentially we have to walk. So this is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is impossible and it's really long. And this is where the game starts to get very difficult and very RNG heavy. As a casual player, and also in a speedrun, this is where things get real. I've already messed up. So the enemies are harder, they take more hits. They're also more random in their movement. All round just gets trickier. But do persevere with it if you are playing this casually or as a speedrun. It is really rewarding. So as you can see, we've got these monkeys with wings, and they're a real nightmare. Like, this chapter is known as RNG hell in the StarTropics community, just because, yeah, I mean, look at all this nonsense. Oh goodness, we're gonna die if we're not careful. Okay, somehow we're still alive, but we are beeping. I've really got to concentrate now. Might go quiet for a minute while I try not to take a death in here. However, StarTropics is kind in places. It will give you hearts. So there's quite often a bit of a get out of jail free sometimes. And some safety strats that you can use where possible. And that's a good example of a room that has some nice safety strats in it. This is not the most marathon safe game, to be honest. Especially when you're as rusty as me. Alright, so you think that we're out of chapter 3, but we're not. That's only the first part. So we're now in a village called Miracola, and in this village we have to speak to everybody in order to be allowed into the chief's hut. Unfortunately, there isn't a quicker way of doing it. And we have to lie and say that Mira is best. If you don't say no to that question, then you can't progress. So you've got to make sure you're talking to everyone and getting that check flag. And now this allows us to enter here. Okay, so this is the chief of Miracola, and he's telling us that something bad has happened. And since a certain night, his daughter's been unwell, and we need to go and get the spell to heal her. But before we can leave the island, we need to actually go and visit Baronet. So we have to track all the way back here. And again, this is a bit of a tricky one casually because it's not obvious how to get into this room. And so we literally just say, this is easy, it's easy, and then we leave. Okay, so that is the kind of overworld section. And again, this should now allow us to leave. So if we don't see Baronet, then we're not allowed to leave the section of the island either. So we're now into another dungeon of chapter 3. So again, things are going to start to get a bit more tricky. So I'm just going to damage boost through these snakes. And we've got these enemies again that are terrifying. They're like proper nightmare material. They're called boneheads. I like to call them zombie chickens because that's what they remind me of. So we're in a dark room, and like casually you see where to walk based on where the enemies go along the floor, but obviously we know where to walk from learning the run. But again, very tricky casually, that one. And we've got these enemies in here called gadflies. As you can see, they're quite annoying. Move in a very random fashion. So we've got another sinking block room, but again, we've got some lovely safety hearts to pick up here. Trying to play it a bit more safe today. So that sign that's on the left there, we're not actually going to pick that up, but that is a chance to win extra lives, or also to possibly lose lives. So it's like a chance kind of thing. So we've just used this different weapon here, this slingshot, to kill those gadflies. It's the quickest, easiest way to do that. Unfortunately took a bit of damage from that enemy called a Mad Muddy there. So this is quite interesting. So this game is giving you all these weapons. We've got a baseball bat, we've got slingshot, we've got the bolus down at the bottom. So it's giving us all of these weapons. And you're thinking, oh, you know, we must need these to fight this final boss that we're coming into now. Well, this is the thing. So the way to actually kill this boss is to actually sink it into water. Actually, to do that, we don't use any of the weapons at all. So the game's a bit sneaky in that way, because it can take a bit of time on a casual playthrough to work out how to kill the boss. But actually what we're doing is jumping around, avoiding the projectiles, and hitting these two switches on either end. And as you can see, not a very sensible place for a fire boss to live in the middle of some water. But that's essentially how we do that. But yeah, this game can be a bit trolly. Doesn't always make it easy for you to figure out how to do things, and can kind of almost mislead you in parts as well. But it is a great game, I promise. Might be biased, possibly. Okay, so you can see we've got a castle on the right hand side there. We're actually going to skip that, and it's kind of almost a bit of a sequence break. So if you were playing that casually, you would go in there, and that is a fort called Shikola, where loads of warriors live. But actually, to speed the kind of whole overworld section up, we were actually going to do the dungeon first, and then come back to that section. So this is like one of the hardest dungeons in the whole game, because you're quite underpowered at this point, and the difficulty is quite high. So we'll see how we get on with it. It might not go very well, but we'll just have to see how we get on. So this is Ghost Village. The enemies are quite tricky. Lots of RNG, some tricky platforming sections. And I'm already on a heart and a half, so already living life on the edge coming into this dungeon. But we're going to try and clutch it out. So we've got these mummies here, and as you can see, the difficulty's really ramped up. Like, just look how many hits these take. So this is what I mean about everything just becoming that little bit more difficult. So we're going to grab this item, which is a torch. I'm going to show you what that does here. So this shows you where all of the ghosts are. So there is a strat you can do to get through this room without using the torch. Not something I'm going to do with 1.5 hearts. But again, like, there's loads of kind of safer strats you can do for beginners and intermediates, and then as you get more comfortable you can progress through the more advanced strats. So there are there's a nice progression through this run as a learner, I think. It's one of the reasons I really liked it. So we're not going to go up those stairs there. So that's actually a false exit. It takes you all the way outside and you have to do everything that we've just done all over again. So, and I have accidentally gone out of that in the middle of a really good run that was on pace. It's really quite easy to slip and accidentally go up those stairs. So don't do that. Learn from that mistake. So I'm just going to concentrate here because this is a really tricky bit and I'll explain afterwards what I'm up to. Okay, so this is a dark room. Normally you would get a torch to light it up so you can see, but also in amongst that dark room there's also like sinking blocks. Oh, okay, we're really living life on the edge here. So that's why I really had to focus there, because I actually listened for the sound of the sinking blocks. To know whether they're submerged or whether they're okay to stand on or not. There are some other strats you can use, like buffer strats, to kind of set up that room instead, but that's just how I've always learned to do it, is by listening to the sound of the blocks. Okay, we're not beeping anymore, so I can save everyone's ears for a bit. So we're going to use this torch again to light up these hidden ghosts, and that's how we're like progressing through this dungeon. Again, really tricky to figure that one out if you're playing this casually. It can be quite easy to get stuck. So there's an item here that you must pick up. So these are like reflective mirrors. If we don't pick them up, we can't kill these kind of whiz-rope type enemies. Oh, I'm really clutching it out today. Okay, gonna pick that up just in case. Again, next room I'm gonna really concentrate because A, it's a difficult room, and B, I've got 1.5 hearts. As you can see, we have all of these mummies. Take a lot of hits. Oh no! Don't run into one, that is bad. Unfortunately, it takes us all the way back here if we die. But that's alright. This is not our first everything going wrong in Ghost Village Radio. So we can handle it. So, we now no longer have our torch. So when you die, you lose your items. So we got to go left into this room. So this is like a backup strat. And what we want to do here is get rid of this Armstrong, and then we can grab another torch. And we're just going to go through this again. And hopefully not die this time, but I believe. So in this game, 5 of those stars gives you 1 heart. If anyone's wondering what the star pieces do. One more. Okay. Right, we go again. So what we don't want is for them to stack up like this, because then you kind of end up hitting them kind of alternately, and that takes longer. in order to kill them. Oops. You only need to kill 4 of those. It's the bottom 2 that you have to keep an eye on that you don't kill. Oh, making a bit of a mess of this. 3, 4. Okay. So we are now on to the final boss of Ghost Village. So we're going to throw some projectiles to get a couple of early hits in. Then we're going to, like with the other ghosts, we need to make them appear. This is Maxi. So this is like the boss ghost. So we've got to not only deal damage to Maxi, but we've also got to avoid the projectiles from the middle and also these smaller ghosts that are coming towards us. So yeah, it's very tricky, this bit, I would say. Oh no! Okay, so I killed the boss, but I also died at the same time. So unfortunately I took quite a bit of damage in the room before, so I didn't have a lot of health going into that. But 3rd time's a charm, so unfortunately we are back in here to grab this. The double KO, yeah. Oh dear. This is definitely like one of the hardest bits of the game, I think. Not doing a very professional job of it today. Mirrors. Oh dear. I'm kind of messing this up quite badly. Okay, if we can... Oh no! If we can get through this next room, we should be okay. Okay, again, like this is a good opportunity to show another secret bit. So there's a room here where we can pick up some hearts. So again, that's another really nice safety strap to kind of help you out in these kind of situations. Okay, we did the whiz ropes. My D-pad is also playing up slightly today for some reason. Oh, D-pad bliss. Okay, so we're gonna throw those projectiles again. Get Maxi to appear. And then we've got more health this time, so we should be fine. So again, a bit of RNG depending on where Maxi wants to like hang out on the screen. Obviously some positions are a little bit easier than others, so this is quite a nice one. Okay, and we are out of Ghost Village, which is a relief, because that was a bit of an ordeal, to be perfectly honest. It is a terrifying ghost. I feel like that skull's also good. Okay. So you can see that we are filling up a pond, or a reservoir, or emptying rather. Okay, phew, that was stressful. So we're going to pick up this crystal ball, and then we're going to backtrack to the section that we skipped earlier and go back with our crystal ball. It's stressful for me right now, Alex. Oh dear. But it was good, we got to show like some hidden areas and some backup strats, and I think that's also an important part of showcasing a speedrun, so sometimes you just got to style it out. So we've got a fortune teller here, and we've returned their crystal ball to them, and they're going to transform us so that we can be disguised, and then we can get into Shikola. She's also predicting our future, which doesn't sound great. Oh, yeah. I'm running Home Alone 2 at ESA on the Wednesday, which will also probably be an ordeal. So this is the Queen of Shikola. She's impressed that we've killed all of the enemies in the Ghost Village. And as a result, she's going to upgrade our weapon. So currently we've got a yo-yo, and she's going to upgrade that to the shooting star. But in order for the yo-yo to activate to the shooting star, you have to have 6 hearts. And the other thing to mention about this section is that we have to speak to this head warrior before we can exit this area. Otherwise, you have to walk all the way back here if you forget, and I've definitely also done that before as well. So the head warrior tells us that we, in order to get the bridge to lift, we have to stand at the bridge, jump 10 times and shout abracadabra. So that's what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Abracadabra! Doesn't work if you don't say it. So now you can see we've now got our shooting star. So it's got more range, as you can see. So the yo-yo has a much shorter range. So that's one kind of improvement. The other improvement is, you may remember these enemies from chapter 1, they took 2 hits, as you can see they now take 1. So again, that just makes everything that bit quicker. So in order to progress most efficiently through this chapter, it's really important that we basically keep our 6 hearts. So we just don't want to be taking any damage at all if we can avoid it. Oh yeah, this game was a nightmare without internet for many reasons. I'll come on to another example of that later, but that's a very good point. So we are still in chapter 3. We We are still in chapter 3. Like I said, very long, very difficult. So we're now into another dungeon, and like I said, in order to do this in the most effective way possible, we need to not take damage. Because we can kill all the enemies really quickly. Otherwise, everything takes longer if we have to deal more damage. Yeah, we're back. If it drops out, it should hopefully come back in a couple of minutes. But let me know. There's no sound. Is that on my end or? It's harder without internet. I do apologise about the internet issues. Sometimes it does this, and today it's decided to do this, which is not good timing. But it usually does reconnect within like a couple of minutes. So if it does drop out, I'm just going to carry on and catch everyone back up. I do apologise, Alex, for the technical problems, and to everyone in chat as well. So we've made it out of here, and we found the hermit, and he's going to give us the scroll of Obob, which is going to be the spell that's going to help us to save Bananet. So Bebob, Obob, Uma Uma Obob. Okay, she's awake. And she's hungry. And so the chief has very kindly fixed Subsea for us. And thankfully, we have made it out of chapter 3. Which I think is probably one of the, well, apart from maybe 7, it's one of the harder bits of the game. Okay, so we're halfway through. We're in chapter 4 now. Chapter 4 is pretty quick. So we're just cruising along. There's this lovely fish-shaped island, which is, of course, called Tunicola. And we just need to speak to one person in here in order to progress the game. So the kid basically tells us that he's seen somebody who is like us, sailing on the sea in this area. So we're going to go and look for them. Except we're not, because what's actually going to happen is we're going to get swallowed by a whale. So here's our friend Babu from chapter 1. He was too afraid to come with us. And he's telling us that he saw our uncle get kidnapped. And that's why he was scared. He's dropped a lighter somewhere in this whale belly, and so the plan is that we're going to find the lighter, we're going to light a fire, and then we're going to get ejected out via a sneeze. That's the plan. So this is basically just a maze through a whale's intestine. It's quite easy to get lost in here as a casual player. Hopefully I won't get lost today. Yeah, you have to talk to the kid to get swallowed. Again, that bit can be quite tricky to figure out because it's not obvious that you go under that hard bit there. So again, very kind of tricky to figure out some of this stuff casually. And here's our lighter. So we've got a mic-sized lighter, it's massive, and we've got a mic-sized fish. So we pick up the lighter that's as big as we are, and we're going to take that back to our friend Babu, and we're going to get ourselves smoked out of here, hopefully. Yeah, making you get swallowed and run around in whale intestines. Exactly right. Alright, Mahoosuve lighter. Gonna make a fire. I think we're on fire at this point. This was the first speedrun I ever learned. I played it casually, and one of the speedrunners, the world record holder, was in my stream when I was playing this casually, and that's how I kind of got into it, for that reason. So, this code that I'm putting in, 747, in order for us to get the frequency tracking system to rescue our uncle who's been abducted, is nowhere in this game. Nowhere in this game does it tell you how to figure that out. And back then, we did not have the internet, as someone has pointed out. How you found out that code, the only way was to own the manual and the letter that came with the original game. And what you do is you dip that letter in water, which is the instructions that is given to you in that dialogue, and that causes the kind of indelible ink and the code to appear on the physical copy of the game. So if you rented this game from a rental store, or you borrowed it from a mate, you would not have the letter, and you would have absolutely no idea what to do. When I played this casually, I had to Google it, because there wasn't any other way to find out, but obviously I had Google. I can't imagine what it would have been like back in the days. Not ideal. So we're now in chapter 5. Again, I've done a bit of a sequence break. So what you've just seen me do is go and speak to the fisherman who's given me a worm for bait. And we'll come on to why we need that shortly. And you can see we've got this lovely ship here. Okay, so we're now in another village. So this is Belcola. And we need to speak to all but one of the villagers in order for us to trigger the check flag to be able to speak to the island chief. So we're going to skip the lady in the bottom right house there, but everyone else we're going to talk to. And And essentially people are telling us that there's a ship which we saw as we came in, and it's blocking the strait. So we essentially can't get through. Okay, and the chief is waiting for us from Sea Island. He's got a great moustache. So he said, will we keep a secret? And we said yes. And he says, okay, I believe you. And he said that the island father has a secret to this island in his cave. But we need to visit a parrot called Peter, in order to find out how to access the cave. So that worm I picked up at the beginning. No gift, no chat, no gift, no chat. So we're going to give the worm, and the parrot is telling us, do me so far, do me. So that's our clue. I mean, the storyline does kind of fall down here because we do have a submarine. So, you know, if this was real life, we could just go underneath. We could just go underneath the ship that's in the strait. But apparently not. Apparently we have to do stuff first. This is Captain Bell's organ. So that was the code. So we've got Domi, Faso, and you obviously have to use that clue in order to hit the right keys on the organ. If you hit a wrong key, you have to reset. You have to leave the room and come back in to reset it. Otherwise it won't accept. And again, that's another really tricky thing to know about this game casually. Okay, so we are now into the Chapter 5 dungeon. So this is a really fun one. It's full of it's quite platform heavy almost. There's lots of kind of traps and tricks and things throughout this one, so it's a slightly different feel to the other ones. You can see the ground is falling away beneath us in this one. And in this room we've got arrows that are going to try and hit us. And again we've got one here, another one here. So again, it's just about knowing where all these trips and traps are, and learning to avoid them. So it's a lot about timing in this particular part of the game. So we're gonna fall through the floor here, and the way we can get through this room is you fall through the floor unless you walk on the bits that it's safe to walk on, and we use the rats to figure that out casually. In certain rooms you only need to kill certain enemies in order to progress, so we don't have to kill all of the rooms. So again, it's knowing which enemies to kill in which rooms. And again, we've got another thing here with the floor is falling away. Okay, giant bowling balls, terrifying. These are instant death. So we just don't want to touch them at all. Not even by a pixel. Bad times to touch them. So the first one, the first bowling ball in this game goes end to end. So it's a little bit easier to kind of navigate. Oh, that was a bit of a mean spawn location there. But the bowling balls, there's 3 of them in this chapter, they get more difficult as we go on. So this is an example where we actually have to kill all of the enemies, so we need to kill all the stakes here. Okay, here's our second of 3 bowling balls. So again, much smaller room. So you can hit them to pause them. So that's how we're going to get through this room in the most efficient way. And this room we just need to just run through it. Okay, so we picked up a torch earlier in this dungeon. And that's how we progress through. It's really hard to figure that out casually as well, because there's a propensity to just kind of go around in circles. So again, a very difficult one to figure that out. Okay, so we are at checkpoint now, so if we were to take a death, at least we would only end up coming back to this point. The floor is trying to stab us, which is not ideal. And again, we've got arrows trying to shoot us again. So. Okay, this is the probably hardest bit of this whole chapter. It's this bowling ball. So unlike the blue one which went end to end, this one only goes as far as the screen. So obviously, as you can see, it moves quite quickly. So we just want to be really careful basically, because if we die we end up going all the way back. We end up going all the way back to here. Not ideal, but it's okay. That bowling ball is red because of all of Mike's blood on it over the years. And it's not the worst checkpoint to like go back to, so it's not super far. I might just not talk for a minute while I try and grapple with this stressful situation. Doing that with the yo-yo as well, if you end up on low health, is also a bit of a nightmare because you have such limited range, so you have to get really close to it. Again, I found myself in some sticky situations with that in runs as well, and in marathon runs, where you end up down to the yo-yo and you're basically like a millimetre away from that, trying to pause it with just the yo-yo. Very stressful. But anyway, we did it. Only one death, not too bad. We did get bowled. Very much so. But we are sinking the ship so that we can get through the strait. And if everyone, I'm just gonna put a little 07, little salute. While we play the national anthem. So this is like a moment to relax in this run. There's really not much downtime. This is the only downtime in the whole run. So we can just chill and listen to the national anthem for a second while we sink the ship. Okay. Well, it's the king now. It's the king now. Okay, so we are in chapter 6. So we have a bit of an overworld section here. Again, this is a bit of a maze. There's lots of different little sections and little islands you can visit if you're playing it casually. But obviously we're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. So we're gonna schlep up here. And again, this is a bit of a maze. You can see there's loads of different options to choose from, which will take you to different parts of the overworld map. again, it can be a bit tricky to figure out because there's bits that you can just go through like that. And again, there's quite a few options here for routes, but obviously we want to go into the second one once we know what the route is. And then we go to the bottom one and then through to the left one. So we've got some signals and dialog boxes popping up, but we don't want those to pop up because that costs us time each time they do. So we hug this wall, and that only pops up the ones that we need, the absolute bare minimum. And that shows us the signal to where our lost uncle is hiding. So chapter 6 has 2 dungeons. They're both quite tricky. They're a bit like, it's a little bit like chapter 3 in a way. There's definitely possibilities for things to go wrong. So we're just gonna walk through this room. We're going to pick up this item on the floor here, and you can see our shirts changed to yellow. Basically this is an anklet and it allows us to jump 2 spaces instead of just 1. But it only works for the room that you're actually in. So don't be fooled into thinking you can jump 2 spaces when you're not in that room. You'll end up going for a little drown. So we've got another anklet here. So same situation, we can now jump 2 spaces. But now we're back to being able to only jump 1. So there's a hidden block over here. It's quite a tricky bit, so we're just gonna buffer those inputs / mash and just get rid of this conga line of mummies. And we also pick up a hidden potion there too. So this boss is called Turboss, so it's a lot like the octopus boss that we saw from chapter 2. It's essentially the same premise, except we don't have the ability to freeze the boss. So again, it's a case of avoiding the projectiles, and then again RNG, waiting for this guy to eventually come down and see us so that we can deal some damage. Again, you can do it in 1 cycle. I think I was 1 hit short from doing that in 1 cycle, maybe 1 or 2. So we are definitely losing some time here. Oh, RNG, wow. Turboss Bliss. Yeah, that was a very good example of bad RNG, I would say. So the kind of theme for chapter 6 is there's like a lot of mini bosses. Again, it's not obvious, like on a casual playthrough, that you can walk through these walls. We've got another anklet here, so that means that we can go up here. And we've also picked up some baseballs, and we'll need those later on. This is such a cool weapon. These are the cleats, and you can see that you can basically kill all the enemies in one room with just the one use of that weapon, which is super cool. Again, under utilised weapon in this one. We only use it twice, 3 times unfortunately. It's such a shame because it's such a great sub-weapon. Alright, we're going in here. So we're going to use the cleats again, except we're going to use them 3 times because the mummies take 3 hits to kill. And then we're going to use these snakes here too. Okay, and we're now into the boss. So this is Broken Joe, who's going to come out of the wall. So we want to be stood about where I am. And we want to avoid these projectiles whilst throwing the baseballs into his mouth. And that's it, that was a 2 cycle. That's the quickest I've done that in a really long time actually. A lot of things have gone wrong in this run today, but that was actually pretty well executed for me, so I will take that. So that is 6-1, and we're about to go into 6-2, the second dungeon. It's possible to run out of baseballs there, and that is the only way to kill that boss. So again, just got to be super accurate with your shots there. Oh, that's not the right way. So this is like a huge melted rock with 3 holes inside. And what that turns out to be we will come on to shortly. So you think you'd walk up there, but no. Again, you walk through this hidden wall to the right. That's like a false kind of entrance again. So again, it's the game being mean to us. This chapter's pretty difficult, to be honest. Chapter 6, we've got the floor trying to stab us, we've got bats. We have these throwing stars, and they're really cool. So you press once to shoot them, and then again to time the splitting of them. And they make quite easy work of these enemies. Okay, this room can be quite tricky, so you need to avoid these kind of shadows. I've forgotten what they're actually called. But essentially, they don't actually give you damage, but they stop you being able to deal damage. But luckily I didn't get hit by them when I was needing to deal the damage. So this is a clay doll. So this is quite a difficult boss. If we get hit by this boss, we will die, basically. I nearly did die then, but we didn't, so we stalled it out. They basically take pretty much a whole row of health if you get hit by one of those. So we try to not make contact with the clay doll's body, whilst also dealing damage, whilst also avoiding the projectiles. So we've got these rockies in here. So again, we're going to use these stars to make easy work of those. And again, the same with this room full of gadflies. We're going to use that weapon to get rid of those easily too. Okay, so we've got two sets of these in here, which is a bit trickier, and they're in a really awful pattern. I've not really ever seen them do this before. This is a terrible pattern. That was tricky. I don't think I've ever seen them do that before. Fortunately, we've got some more hearts in here, so that's all good. Okay, we don't actually need to kill anything in here. Again, we just walk through the wall. As you do. Again, figuring that out is a nightmare. So the room I'm about to go in has 2 clay dolls in it, so we're going to try and get rid of one. Off the bat. And then we're going to get rid of the other one after, just to make our life easier. That's how the first one should have gone, but I did mess it up. So hopefully that is a better demonstration of how to deal with those. And if we hadn't had enough bosses, well, here's another one. So you can see we've got these 2 heads here that are firing projectiles at us. So we just need to hit them 10 times, whilst also not getting hit ourselves. They were quite kind. Sometimes they throw more projectiles, but they actually kind of just behaved and just let me hit them, which was quite nice of them. So we'll take that. We will take that for sure. Okay, so that was chapter 6. We are actually fairly on target for estimate, which is good. So my PB is like 1 hour and 11 minutes. Obviously I'm incredibly rusty, so we're going to be looking at more like an hour and a half today. So we found our Uncle Steve. So Uncle Steve is basically telling us that he found the big rock, the one that we saw, and that there was a planet called Argonia, and those Argonians battled some evil aliens, and that what we saw was their last escape pod. And we don't want to say yes there because otherwise he repeats himself and we lose time. So I've done that so many times. So those 3 magic cubes have been pinched by some evil aliens, and our Uncle Steve says, hey nephew, even though you're like 15 and armed with a yo-yo, would you mind going onto a random spaceship and fighting some aliens for me? And we just go, yeah, sure, not a problem, we'll do that. Sounds good. So we leave our uncle and we very bravely go to the spaceship. And this is where the game gets real in terms of difficulty. This is the hardest bit of the whole game. This is called the bottleneck. There are some strats you can use to make it easier, but I'm going to try and kind of use the intermediate one. I won't use the kind of advanced one, but I'll go intermediate. And this is a section called the bottleneck. So as you can see, we've now kind of ramped it up a gear. We've got these like stormtrooper alien things that are like shooting us at us, and they also give us a lot of damage. So the intermediate strat is to take a little bit of a diver and grab those additional hearts, and that's just to help us get the best chance of getting through this section, which is the bottleneck. So as you can see, we've got all of these aliens shooting at us. And then that actually went really well. That never happens. And then we have these space vipers, and again this is like quite RNG based. So you might not get any, or you might get loads. Like this is terrible RNG. But we made it through. So that is genuinely the hardest bit of the game. Even the top runners will die there like multiple times. Like even like, you know, like Zero Counts and Bug Doctor, you know, no one's safe from the bottleneck. Even you know, the kind of experts at this game. So we've also got these bots that we have to fight too. Again, these are quite difficult to do. We get rid of that turret in the middle first off, and then we try to pick one of them off and just leave us with the other one to kind of get rid of. My D-pad is like really playing up. But okay, well, we're still alive, that's good. So it's quite possible to also die there. So not only do you have to get through the bottleneck with as much health as possible, A, survive, B, get through as much health as possible to help you survive those bosses at the end. So yeah, that first part is definitely incredibly difficult. So we've got 3 staircases. We want to take the right hand side one. And we've kind of got a bit of another kind of maze situation through this spaceship. But luckily we found one of the 3 magic cubes that we need. And we've got our 3rd and final upgrade of our weapon. So we've now got the supernova. So it goes yo-yo, shooting star, and then supernova. So we're now, and we need, I'm going to take a death here intentionally, just to top my hearts up a bit. So in order to be able to use the supernova, you need the whole of the top row of your hearts full, as you can see. And this has obviously got longer range than the shooting star, and also it's more powerful. So we want to kind of keep our hearts up so that we can be able to use this weapon. And we've also got these guns as well as a sub-weapon to use in the spaceship. So we just want to ignore this alien. We don't want to waste time killing stuff we don't need to. Making a bit of a mess of this. So I'm going to swap to the gun because it gives us a longer range, which helps us with killing the turrets in this room. Boss in here. Again, we're going to use the ray gun. It's another one of these big bots. This is like the gold version. So again, we just want to like avoid the projectiles. Oh, it's death. Okay. We'll try again. Hopefully the stream is back. I'm not sure. If someone could let me know chat, that'd be great. I'm really sorry again, Alex and chat, for my internet woes. Nothing happened, nothing to see here. We get to showcase the space drugs again, so nothing happened. So as you can see, it fills up our heart to beyond maximum, but only temporarily. So we just damage boost this whole section. No one saw anything. Everything's fine. We'll take that heart. We'll take any hearts we can at this point, I think. Yeah, you're very fast. I'm sorry you have to fix stuff because of my rubbish internet. Okay, so that's how we should have done that the first time. But we styled it out. It's fine. So again, we've got another hidden room here that's going to give us another top up of our ray gun. Super useful weapon. Nothing phases Alex anymore, having to put up with all of us lot. Okay, so these heat tiles take off an entire row of health. So we're going to try and not get hit by them. And this is my least favourite boss in the whole game. This is Asteroid. So what we're trying to do here very badly is get Asteroid to back up so that we can hit that switch. And then we're going to run all the way back here. And then we're going to try and push Asteroid off the edge. Again, there's like quicker and swaggier strats to do this boss. But it works and we're alive, so that's the main thing. And we made it out of chapter 7. Almost. So we have this maze that you just need to memorize where to go effectively. This is like the most stressful maze when you're on PB pace because you're just like full of adrenaline and just having to wander through all these corridors in anticipation of how the final chapter's going to go, which is always a good time. Despite the technical problems, we're on the home straight and we are roughly on estimate, hopefully, by some miracle. Okay, so we have our second magic cube. And so what you're going to see is our life level going up, and obviously the less life you have, the longer it takes for it to refill, so this is another potential time loss in the run. Obviously I only had 2 hearts, so that's not ideal. Ideally you'd want to have as many hearts as possible coming into this, so that you're saving as much time as possible, essentially. So what you're seeing now is the spaceship taking off. So our uncle's just, you know, abandoned us to go and fight aliens in space now. But what you're also going to see about that refill is it's a complete scam, because when we get into chapter 8, which is the final chapter of the game, it's going to give us only 3 hearts. So not only is it slow, but it's also a complete scam. So game is mean. An illusionary image appears before you. You hear an evil voice. Haha. I am the prime invader Zoda. Come on, you'll try and beat me. You'll be defeated like the Orgonians. We'll destroy you. Your head is aching. You jam bananas in your ears and you shout, "Get out of my mind, alien scum." So be sure to bring your ear bananas to space with you. It's an essential item. Don't leave those at home. So we're now going to fight Zoda. Or try to. So as you can see, those hands try to grab you. If you get hit by one of those hands, that's instant death. I'm pressing down because I'm doing a manipulation which helps to prevent the hands from spawning. I'm not sure how that was discovered, but it's a really useful manipulation. Oh no! There we go. Perfect example of getting Zoda'd. So yeah, the hands are bad for two reasons. One, they kill you, and two, every time you get a hand cycle, obviously that's a time loss. So it's a bit like Super Mario Bros. 3 and how many hands you get at the end. Oh, that was very close, wasn't it? Holy moly. So this is nightmare material, I feel. Okay, we're alive. My D-pad is still playing up. But we made it, and that's the important thing. And we get more space drugs. So we're going to get all of our health nice and topped up. So that is not Zoda in their final form, unfortunately. So that is not the final boss. We've got a few things to contend with before we're at the end. Very sadly. So yeah, lots of aliens, lots of projectiles. Very challenging section. I'm going to focus here, but we have to basically kill this reactor core. And ideally we would want to do that in one cycle. We're not going to get lucky there, unfortunately. This alien is the bane of our life. Yeah, we're dead. It is quite tricky because you've got the alien, the projectiles at the bottom, and also to manage whilst also trying to deal damage, because the reactor also kind of heals itself as you're dealing damage, so that just makes it kind of gives it that extra layer of complexity. I think we might have a game over screen here. Yeah, there we go, our first game over. But don't despair, we'll try not to. So I've known people to break their controllers trying to get through this chapter, so and as you can see, given that it's an NES game, it's very unforgiving, sends you all the way back here if you die, so it's very mean. Game is very mean, and I'm definitely having controller issues too, so which is not ideal. Oh, not another hand. And another hand. Okay. I've taken a few deaths, unfortunately, on this road, you Jonas, but we hopefully can do it. I'm having a bit of controller issues, unfortunately. My D-pad is playing up. But we can do this. We have done this before. And we're on the home straight for sure. Alright, reactor, let's go. I'm gonna do it. First time this time. Alien, go away. Alright, we've got a 2-cycle. We'll take that. So that reactor is very tricky. Ideally you want to get that in a 1 cycle if you can. But the alien was kind of chilling in front of where I needed to shoot, so... So this is actually the final boss. This is Zoda in their final form. Basically we want to just dance around. Zoda's also dancing around, which is not ideal. It's instant death if you hit Zoda, so we just need to be very careful. And there we go, and that's time. So time is when Zoda starts peaking. And the reason that that's time rather than the kind of actual end of the game is because there's a credit skip glitch that can happen, which can skip the end credits. So that's why we call time. Totally. I mean, I'm 4 minutes over estimate. I'm happy with that, considering I died like a million times. So we're gonna pick the last magic cube up, and we probably don't have time to watch the end credits. But essentially we rescue the Argonians, and this is a really great game. If anyone is interested in speedrunning this, please reach out. We have a Discord. It's a really fun game. The community are really lovely. Can't recommend it enough. Thank you very much to Alex for having me as part of this marathon. I really appreciate it. It was really nice for me to be able to participate with everyone, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their Sunday, and apologies for all the technical problems along the way. But yeah, it's been great. Thanks for chat. Your chat is so lovely too. It's just a nice place to be, isn't it? So yeah, I will sign off now and say thanks.